Welcome everyone, Costin here with my early game guide for Hogwarts Legacy. Some of the things you should know before starting to play the game and exploring the world. Exploration is a pretty big aspect when it comes to Hogwarts Legacy, but it also can be limited. The reason behind that is that you need certain spells in order to interact with certain objects. Now, you'll start with a couple of spells, like Lumos for instance. You'll get that through the prologue, but many other spells need to be unlocked through classes or just through the main story. You need to learn spells in order to get access to exploration. What are the spells that you really need if you want to get through a lot of Hogwarts? Well, the spells that you'll need are Lumos, Disillusionment, which makes you invisible, Reparo, which can help you repair certain things, though is very situational and not necessarily the most useful one. Then there's Accio, which you can use to pull things towards you, and then finally Leviosa. Though there's two versions of Leviosa, so you've got your regular Leviosa, which you can learn fairly early on in the game, and then you've got Wingardium Leviosa. On top of that, there's also the Alohomora spell, which you can use to unlock certain doors in the game, and then there's combat spells, but ones that can be used in a certain context, like Incendio can light things on fire, so there's certain torches which you might need to light on fire, or with Confringo, in order to get access to certain secrets. Now, what kind of secrets are you after? Well, one of the main things you're really after is, if I open the challenge menu here, is the field guide pages. Now, the field guide pages will give you a lot of experience, as well as transmog items that you can use to make your gear look nice. So when it comes to gear choices, you can always customize every single piece of gear to look different. So for instance, here I'm using the Druid Wolf Cape, but I could go with no cape, I could go with a robe. There's collections, and then there's just regular items. Like, collections are basically item sets. Other are just like random items that you can find in the world. But either way, you need a lot of field guide pages, which are all over Hogwarts and Hogsmeade in the game world, and they're hidden. Some of them may be floating around, and you might need to use an Accio spell to pick up. Speaking about spells, though, how much of the game do you need to unlock these spells? Well, some of them can be acquired fairly early on. Some of them you will acquire through the prologue, others through some very early classes. So, on your first day at Hogwarts, after the prologue, the first thing I would recommend before doing any kind of exploration, it would be to do the Charms class and the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, which will teach you the Accio spell and the Levioso spell respectively, both of which are pretty important to be able to access most of the secrets in Hogwarts. Well, most would probably be exaggerating there, because you'll actually need more spells to access Hogwarts properly, but these two spells, Accio and Levioso, are pretty important for early game exploration. So is Lumos, though you'll get Lumos fairly early on in the game. Other spells that might be important, like Disillusionment, can give you access to certain chests that can be locked otherwise. Reparo can repair certain things. So a lot of spells are important, but that's just Hogwarts exploration. There's of course exploration beyond Hogwarts when we're looking at the world map, but I'll get into that in just a moment. So first off, let's talk about Hogwarts exploration. As you explore the castle, what you will want to do will be to use Revelio. Revelio is an early game spell that actually is probably the first spell that you'll learn, and it will teach you to reveal objects. So in this case, what I can see is a level 2 lock that's blocked by Alohomora. That requires a rank 2 Alohomora. There are several ranks of Alohomora that you can get access to. The problem with Alohomora is that it's a spell that requires you to do about half of the main story in order to get access to it. And even then, even when you get access to Alohomora, you're still going to need to do the quest Man Behind the Moons in order to get the rank 2 and rank 3, which requires you to find these Demigeist moons that can only be acquired at night. And they're hidden away in both Hogwarts and in Hogsmeade. But if you're looking to unlock closed doors, you're gonna have to spend a lot of them. You're gonna have to go through a lot of the main story to be able to open it. whereas things that might require Levioso, Accio, Lumos, Reparo, Disillusionment can be acquired much earlier. So what would be my suggestion when it comes to this? Well, I would say get Accio, get Leviosa, and then you can start exploring a good chunk of Hogwarts. You could wait until you've got Disillusionment, but Disillusionment is only really important for certain locked chests. Let me explain what those chests are. So as you go around the world, you'll encounter these kind of like eyeball chests, right? There's no spells that work on them. How do you deal with them? Well, pretty simple. You go out of sight, you cast Disillusionment, you move to the chest as you're in Disillusionment, and you just open them. And you get 500 gold per chest. Pretty easy, pretty simple, not too big of an issue. That's what Disillusionment provides. A lot of money, essentially. What about Lumos? Why is Lumos important? Well, there are these mirrors, if you will, and if you use Lumos next to them, you will be given, it will show what the portrait is. And when you figure out what it is and where to find it, I think in this case it probably is back where I came, like one of the portraits back where I came. I just need to figure it out. But once you figure out where you need to go, once you figure out the location, and I could be wrong on this, by the way, but once you figure it out, you will find a secret in that area. Now here, in this particular case, I could be a bit mistaken. Actually, I might probably need to go ahead where it was in order to find it. But with this particular spell in hand, you find the area that's indicated by the mirror. Probably here. There we go. There we go. And you'll find this moth that will be drawn to the flame, so to speak. You bring it back to the fortress. You end Lumos, and this will give you a field guide page. This is a quest that you can access pretty early on in Hogwarts Legacy, and that's how you do it. Then there's more field page guys. Like you're gonna be casting a lot of Ravello to discover the secrets of Hogwarts. As long as you've got Leviosa, Accio, Lumos, you can explore most of Hogwarts. Not all of it, to be sure, but a substantial portion of it all the same. Now, I'm just going to go to another area to talk about some other things that are available. So I'm going to go into the library annex. Probably in the library itself, there's certainly some secrets. There's different puzzles to be done with respect to this game. In fact, I'm probably going to have to leave the library over here and go above it. There are certain statues where you can cast Leviosa on them in order to get access to their secrets. Then there's these locked chests. Now, how do you get access to what's inside there? Well, for every one of these, there is a key. You just need to find the key, take it back, and then you'll get a mini game. It's one of those flying keys. Like the flying key in this case is over here. Once you approach it, it's going to make its way to the nearby cabinet, and it will then be available for you to open. This is something that's not locked instantly. It may take you a while to actually get access to these, but they're pretty simple. You don't need to even have a certain spell. You just need to get the key. Now, how do you solve these? Well, the flying key, obviously a callback to book 1 and a callback to the first movie.
Brilliant.
will go from the edge, pass over the middle. What you want to do is you want to slap them as they're over the middle keyhole. What I tend to do when it comes to this is I focus, like, I only look at the middle part of this. I ignore everything else. I don't look at what the key is moving when and I just focus my attention on the keyhole in the center there. When I see the key moving over the center, that's when I slap it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It is a matter of practice. I'm just trying to find something over here. It can be a bit confusing, by the way, getting around Hogwarts on foot. Like, you can genuinely be lost. You can genuinely get lost while playing the game. Even with all of the tools that you might have available. Speaking about traveling, though, or exploration, rather, the way you get around places is you need to find the various flue locations, and once you find them, you can teleport to them from any other part of the game. This applies to both Hogwarts and Hogsmeade and the rest of the open world. So you've got a great deal of ability when it comes to just going around places, exploring them around the world. Now over here, there is another one of those chests. I cast Disillusionment. Open it. It seems pretty shocked when you do open it. But over here in the library annex at the top here, there is this door puzzle. Over here, actually, you'll find a note that actually gives you a solution. So how does this work? So you have these symbols, they each represent a number. It starts from 0, goes to 9. Don't assume like I did initially until I found the solution that this is 1 to 10. No, it's 0 to 9. You go here, you reveal, and you didn't get an equation. The equation at the top is for the single question mark. The one at the bottom is for the two question mark. So in here at the top, I need a 9. I already have a 2, and I have a Hydra with 3 heads. That represents a 3, so I already have 5 at the top, which means I need 4 being the owl there. Just put that owl in. Then at the bottom, I only have a 1. So what I need is a 3, which means I need this Hydra, and that will open it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, nothing really fancy. And then this unlocks even more. And you'll find a lot of these field guide pages strewn around the entire world. Chests, secrets, all that good stuff that you can then reveal. Now, with that in mind, let me go over to Hogsmeade. Because Hogsmeade it's got a lot of its own secrets, its own field guide pages. It also has a lot of doors locked by Alohomora. Is it important, though, to, like, does it matter to explore, does it matter if you're exploring without Alohomora? Well, when you're going through Hogsmeade in particular and you notice the dozens and dozens of locked doors, it can be frustrating not to have Alohomora. But in this case, how does Alohomora work? Well, you have the green spark, which can be moved on PC by Q and E, until you get the movement over there of the mechanism, and then the red spark, which is moved with A and D. And what you need to do with Alohomora is just get both of them moving, both of the mechanisms moving, and that will unlock the doors. But to obviously get access to higher level ranks of Alohomora, you will need higher. You will need to do the quest that's related to it, which means you're gonna need to do a lot of exploration at night. Now, I admit I'm not entirely sure what's with these doors, but I haven't found a way to open them yet. Another one of those chests. More 500 gold. It's a great source of early game money. Now, to get Disillusionment as a spell, though, if I go over there, you need to get access to the secrets of the restricted section. So it means you need to do Hogsmeade. Like, this is not in order, by the way. But you need to do Hogsmeade. And then after that, you need to go meet Professor Fig, and then eventually you'll get access to this quest. You might also need to do certain other quests. So that's exploration primarily in Hogwarts and Hogsmeade. You can get pretty far with Lumos, Disillusionment, Reparo, Accio, Leviosa, as I've said. But what about the rest of the open world? The great big grand world that we do have access over here. Well, that's a bit more complicated, right? Because if we click on this, it's a pretty big world, but you can. One of the things to notice is that a lot of this, like the Forbidden Forest, is level 20 to 40. Other areas can be pretty high level as well. Like right now, as I'm recording this, and I'm pretty far into the game, I'm only level 23, and I've done a lot of exploration in the world so far. But let's talk about open world exploration. It is something that is going to matter. Like, one of the things you may find in open world, you might find herbs and you might find moonstone. Moonstone is something used for the room of requirement to customize things. Though the room of requirement is not something I'm going to touch on on the video today. But what is important is flying. Because if you're going to explore a massive world, you're going to need a fast mode of transportation. Now, flying is pretty simple. Like, you fly slowly normally, then if you toggle with shift, you'll fly faster, and then if you hold the left mouse button, you can use the meter there to get around the world even faster, around places. Now, what's important, though, about flying is you can then use Revello to get around places, and like see, okay, what's there to explore. So if you're gonna go exploring the open world, you need a broomstick. But a broomstick is again something that is unlocked after doing certain main story quests, and it's not unlocked quickly. So you might need to do a lot of the main story quests to get access to it. Now, one of the things that you might experience very quickly as a sort of frustration is the limitation on how much gear you can carry. So by default, you start with only 20 gear slots. This, by the way, includes the 6 gear pieces that include your inventory. So your handwear, your facewear, headwear, neckwear, cloaks and robes, as well as your outfit. All of that is going to consume 6 slots in your gear bags, and you then have 14 free slots that you can use. How do you increase that? Well, you need to do Merlin's Trials. Basically, there's these symbols on the ground. You need Mallow Sweet, which you can buy from vendors. It's not really expensive. You use Mallow Sweet on one of these locations, and then you get a different level of challenge. Now, I am not entirely certain. Yeah, so in this case it was a jumping puzzle. But there's different challenges. There's challenges where you might not need to find certain objects. There's challenges where you might need to destroy things. But you do these Merlin trials. And you go then to your challenge menu. And I believe it is not for that, but through exploration. And if you complete, initially it's 2 Merlin trials to increase your gear capacity by 4, so to 24, then 6 to 28, and then for, well, probably 32, you need to do 10. And I'm guessing the gear limit is probably 40 in total. Now, if you can't pick gear up, then it will just be left in the chest. The chest will remain there, and you can go do it later. When it comes to gear, let's talk about this. When it comes to gear and when it comes to money, is it worth buying gear from the vendors? Well, not really. Not, at least not early on. Let me explain. So, gear has different stats, but you may also notice like, oh, trait slots. But the thing about trait slots is that you can only apply traits to gear much later on in the game through the Room of Requirement. Like, I haven't gotten access to that. It requires a certain quest to be done that then unlocks the ability in the Room of Requirement. Until that point, the things that you care about when it comes to armor is not it's like, oh, is it extraordinary, is it legendary, or anything like that. What you care about are the stats that it has. So, in this case, this piece of gear has 60 offense. The other scarf, which has 66, would just be flat out better. HP is increased for your level. Defense is just increasing your ability to block and just defend. And then offense increases your damage. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And for most of the game, you should only care about the stats of either offense or defense. Like, gear will only have offense or defense on it. So for instance, over here, let me just try and find a gear piece maybe that I can prove this point. Like, there might be gear pieces that are of lower quality, like green quality or blue versus purple or orange, that might actually be better. Don't bother holding on to gear. In fact, selling gear that you find in the world is one of the big sources of money that you can have. So don't hold on to it until you've actually unlocked the Room of Requirement. Like, if you're close to it, and I think I'm pretty close to it, so I would probably keep legendary gear, then that's the point where you want to hold on to gear. But otherwise, just sell it. Don't hold on to legendary gear because you're thinking, oh, the traits at least are better even if it has lower offense. Now, certain gear pieces will have benefits. Like in this case, do I think it is tied to challenge? So over here, for instance, I got Protego Shielding, so I'm taking decreased damage taken from Dark Wizards. Another one is decreased damage taken from Goblins. The Rose Riding Attire gives me increased damage with Expelliarmus. But if I'm not mistaken, this might be tied to some of these challenges that I've done, or maybe the gear pieces in general have given me that kind of level of protection. I'm not entirely certain about that. It could be random. It could be tied to some of the combat challenges that are there. A lot of the game, there's a lot of benefits, gameplay benefits, inventory benefits, transmog benefits that you get by doing various challenges in the game. So these can be challenges like, oh, fight a certain number of enemies, for instance. Or if we're looking like, let's say, at the combat challenges, like I have a combat challenge to defeat 40 Dark Wizards, or defeat 10 Bogs, or 60 Goblins, or 10 Inferni, or all that. Some challenges will require you to reach a certain point in the story, or encounter a certain particular enemy. For instance, the dueling feats one require you to do combat in a certain way, because when you enter a fight, you might get like an objective on the right that tells you, oh, just do these things in battle, like disarming opponents, all that kind of stuff, in order to get those benefits. Other things are just focused purely on exploration, or like finding the field guide pages in Hogwarts and Hogsmeade, and then the Highlands. The Highlands is basically the area that surrounds Hogwarts outside of Hogsmeade and Hogwarts itself. So you've got various challenges to do. These will give you experience, these will give you transmog, these will give you various benefits in combat or inventory benefits like with the Merlin trials. And that's pretty much all you need to know about the early game in Hogwarts Legacy. Costin here signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and I'll see you boys and girls next time.